Okay, we resume again. Now we come to verse 135, talking about decay and death are universal. Yata gopalo dandena gavo gocharam pacheti evam jara cha machu cha paninam ayum pacheti. Basically translate as, just as a cowherd with a stick and drives the cows to pasture. I mean, you are a herdsman, you drive the cow to the pasture with a stick. So do old age and death. Old age and death drive the life of a living being to the end. Okay? So basically, talk about story of a cowherd who drive every day, drive the cows to the pasture. Similar, when it comes to old age and death, it drives the lives of living towards the end. So word by word, yata means just, asogapalo, cowherd, asogopalo. So remember this one, gopalo. And then dadena, with a stick, dadena. This thing means a stick. Gavo means cows going. Gocharam, to pasture or grazing ground. Okay, so basically talk about this one. When you see this word, it basically translates a cow's herd drive the herd to the pasture. Pacheti means drive, urge forward. Evam, so jara OH, cha means end. Machu means death. Cha end. Panitam means beings or living beings. Sayung means lifespan. Pacheti drives on towards the end. Okay, so basically this one, when you come to the end of life, it's like this cowherd simile. This old age and death will come to the end of your life. Okay, I mean your lifespan is reached, then you are going towards death. Remember this word, cowherd. The representation or simile, cowherd means representing jara or age or machu death. Okay, cowherd. And the cows are pana living beings. And the pasture, similar life limit. You know, pasture also have limit. After grazing, the pasture will get, if you never recover, will become like desert. Like in Mongolia, they feed until the graceland become desert. So there's a life limit of death. So remind us that inevitability of aging and mortality, early reflection or impermanent. Okay, so this verse symbolizes impermanent. Okay, so remember all these keywords. So you can remember all these keywords, very easy for you. That's why Dhammapada, we in Chinese not towards a Latin kind of words. That's why we have hard time learning Pali. So similar, you want to learn, we have to learn all the keywords for us to start understanding it. Like Jara, this by the time we know we are aging, Machu, death, all this symbolize something in the sentence, so you can at least write out something of this translation. Okay, so this is 135. Because I get from sources, some of the sources don't have full coverage of everything. Right? That's a problem. Dhammapada, you will need to find a various sources. Some breakdown is very good. The Taiwanese one is very good. So today I went in, it chopped me off. Cannot go in. So I point this verse for you is to go to the Tipitaka there for you to learn something else. But the Tipitaka also not that so-called superior. It wouldn't compare to this two, the this Taiwanese one, they have full compilation. This one sometimes 4-5 verses grouped together. Okay, so I find it not that good. So next one, Dhammapada verse 146. So this is also talking about old age. Java Vaga, remember there's
Sorry,
category
Brother
old
Lau.
age. Yeah.
The Taiwanese website is what website?
Taiwanese one, I cannot go in anymore.
You say me we also cannot go in already lah.
You try again. If you can go to Taiwanese, will be
Which
cool.
one? Which
Morning I
website?
went. I appoint to you all later after
Okay.
when I complete everything.
It's in Mandarin in English
No it is Taiwan one. It's under Pali one. The previous
it
year
come
I
out
try to
in
use
English
it.
or Chinese?
Oh, English.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry I give you all information. If no, then you go. You have the big book Dhammapada. That one also good reference So verse 146 say, Ko nu haso kima no nicham pajalet sati ana karena odan ha panitnam na gava sesata. Okay, translated as what laughter, why joy, when everything is constantly burning. Why covered by darkness? Why do you not seek the light? Okay, so this is one translation that I gather. Or you go to other website, it may give you another something of this sort. So another way they translate is this one more easy to understand. When this world is ever bliss, why this laughter? Why this jubilation? Shrouded in darkness, will you not see the light? Okay, this one is more easy to understand. Another one is what joy in this endless congregation, bind in the black of the night, when you seek to a light. So basically there are three. In here I managed to get three. So whichever you find it easy, then use it. There may be more translation when you come to other website. So keywords to understand. What's the key themes? Impermanent and suffering, dukkha. The burning, pajalate. Here, this one, this suffering. Symbolize the pervasive suffering, dukkha, resistance, fueled by greedy hatred and delusion. So the Buddha admonished against the philosophy in the world marked by transient and pain. Next one, the need for wisdom. So the word is the darkness, anakarena. Anakarena, this one, represent ignorance, vicha, which obscure reality, the light, paninam, signifies wisdom, or pana or dharma, urging seekers to awaken and seek liberation. So these are keywords to help you to remember this. Third one is a contextual story of Visakha companion. This one, the verse was reportedly spoken to an intoxicated woman who behaved shamelessly at Jetavana monastery, and the Buddha darkened the room and illuminated the sky to shock them into the sobriety and wake them up, teaching that sensual pleasure fleeting and destructive. This is talking about one story about this verse 146. So further break down into grammar one, kano haso, what laughter. Okay, kana haso, this one, what laughter. Kim ano, Why joy? Okay, why joy? Nikam Pajale Sati. What constantly burning? Okay. What constantly burning? Anakarena Odanta, shrouded by darkness. Okay. So the front of Adana Kirana means by darkness. Odanta means cover by darkness. Okay, cover by darkness. Panitam na gave sata. Do you not seek the light? Panitam means light. Okay. Na gava setam means do not seek. Okay, so do not seek for light in this one. Okay. So basically, the verse critiques the attachment of fleeting pleasure, while ignorant the urgency of spiritual practice. It aligns with the Buddha's core teaching. Life is impermanent, and true peace comes from overcoming ignorance to the Noble Eightfold Path. I mean, all this enjoyment is just a dust covering you without you awakening then you will be in total darkness. Okay, so these are enjoyment that are little value. Then another verse, 190, next one. Another profound verse was the Dhammapada. It is chapter 14 of Buddha Vaga, talking about Buddha one. It's beautifully symbolized the essence of taking refuge and gaining truth insight. So the Pali verse is Yocha Buddhacha Dhammacha Sanghacha Saranam Gato Chatari Ariyasani Sama Panaya Pasati. So you translate it as one who has gone for refuge of Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So easy for you, remember, come out. Sees the Four Noble Truths with the right wisdom. Okay? So the other one, in the poet way, whosoever has taken refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and with a clear vision, sees the Four Noble Truths. Okay? So either way, it's quite easy. For this one, it's quite easy for you to remember. You see Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and taking refuge of these three. And then you see the Four Noble Truths. Chattari Arisayani is a Four Noble Truths. So we look verse by verse, word by word, sorry. So key theme and teaching. The triple gem, Tiratana. Remember the three Buddha, the awakened one, the guide and the teacher who knows the path. Dhamma, the ultimate truth, the teaching that lead to the realization. Sangha, the community of noble disciples who practice rightly as spiritual companion on the path. Taking refuge, Sangha Ram Gato. Sangha Ram Rat. Okay, taking refuge. It's not an act of blind faith, but a conscious decision to orient one life based on these three principles of awakening. Okay, so when you follow the triple gem, you are on the right path. And then Chattari metaphor, Chattari noble path, Chattari Ariyasani. This one talk about Four Noble Truths. Okay, so remember all these keywords will bring you to full understanding. This is a very core of the Buddha's teaching. To see them is to understand them, not as philosophical concept, but as truth that define existence and the way of suffering. So you also now have to know the truth of suffering, dukkha, the truth of origin of suffering, samyudaya, The truth of cessation of suffering, Nirodha. The truth of path leading to cessation of suffering, Magat. Okay? So when you see Chattari Arya, it means talking about the Four Noble Truths. And then seeing a right vision, Samapanaya Pasati. Okay? Okay? This one. The phrase Samapanaya is crucial. It means with the right wisdom or the perfect wisdom, this is not an intellectual understanding. This is not the normal layman understanding, but penetrative experiential insight. It's a wisdom that arises from direct meditation and practice, seeing things as they truly are. Yatam Bhutam. Okay, so this complete verse 190. So the profound connection is that this verse establishes a direct link between the external act of taking refuge in the triple gem and the internal transformative experience of realizing the truth of the Four Noble Truths. So you must take the refuge, the triple gem, in order for you to understand and then realize the Four Noble Truths. It shows that the refuge is not passive. It's a starting point of a journey to insight that accumulates in awakening. One leads to another. That means you take refuge, then after that, it will lead you to the other. Okay? So this is verse 190. Here you got repeat again. Yocha. And whoever a person is. Okay? Buddha Chana, Dhamma Chana, Sangha. This refer to the triple gem, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Saranam Gato, mean to take refuge. Chattari Ariyasami, we're talking about Four Noble Truths. Samanaya, right wisdom. Okay? Pana, remember Pana is wisdom. Pasati, see. Okay? So this one break down to each word by itself. So in the commentary, the verse describes the ideal Buddhist devotee. It moves beyond mere ritual or declaration of faith. I mean, you're just doing the practice of the Buddhist ritual, or sometimes, like I last time, they ask you to sompa, declare yourself true faith to them. Use your hand, then you sompa. And the true value of taking refuge is realized. It's only it inspire and support one's practice to the point of gaining direct insight into the fundamental truth of existence. I mean, you take it and you train it and you practice it and you realize it. And the ultimate purpose of Triple Gem is to serve as a guide. Okay, Triple Gem as a guide and a framework for understanding the Four Noble Truths, which in turn leads you to liberation, Nibbana. So you often say that while taking refuge is the entrance to the path, seeing the Noble Truth is the path itself and its culmination. So basically, this one talk about what is verse 190. Okay, next one. This one representing the core Buddhist teaching itself, and the verse is profound formal definition of Four Noble Truths. So 190 and 191, there's a link to it. It's not from a narrative chapter on Dhammapada, but it's a fundamental doctrine found in Buddha's first sermon, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Remember, the setting motion of the wheel of Dhamma is repeated throughout the canonical text. So what's the verse is about? Dukkam, dukkha, samupadam, dukkha nasa, cha, cha, atekanam, ariyam, sattanikam, mangan, dukkha upasanang minam. Okay? So we see a lot of dukkha. The truth of suffering, the true origin of suffering, the truth of cessation of suffering, the truth of path leading to cessation of suffering. Wow, this one, if ever come out, verse 1 to 9, is talking about the Four Noble Truths. Okay? Wow, this one, if you really come out, you just hit the jackpot. Talking the Four Noble Truths. So all these are representing the the 4 verses of the Noble Truth. Okay. So how you explain dukkha? If I all know the noble truth of suffering, this is a truth that life in context of unenlightened existence is fundamentally characterized by dukkha. Dukkha means stress, unsatisfactoriness, suffering. It includes obvious suffering like birth, aging, sickness, and so on, so on. To subtle form like being associated unpleasant, separate from the pleasant, and not getting what one wants. So this describes what is suffering. And dukkha samupadam. So when you see dukkha samupada means noble truth of origin of suffering. Samudaya ariya satya. This is a truth that origin of dukkha, craving for sensual pleasure, craving for existence, craving for non-existence. So existence is that you crave for, quickly go to join the worldly, the heavenly world, or you crave for joining the formless world. All these are all craving. It's a craving that leads to the renewed existence and is accompanied by delight and passion, seeking pleasure here and there. Okay, so this is the second truth. Dukkha cha attika nam. The noble truth of cessation of suffering, nirodha. Okay? Ariyacha. So this is the truth that there's a cessation of dukkha, which is a remainless fading away, and the cessation that very craving, giving up, relinquish it, freedom from it, and non-reliant on it. So this is a cessation of the bana. This one talking about the end of suffering, how to end suffering. And then ariyatam chat nangitam magam dukkhu pasam magaminam. The noble truth of the path leading to cessation of suffering. So maga ariyasa means that is a truth that a way to end suffering is followed by noble eightfold path, and it's a path that leads to the coming of a suffering. Okay. So basically, when you see this verse 191 talking about 4 noble truths, okay? So if really come out by hook, by crook, you all must are able to write something. Now you all are all well versed in this. So grammar, we look into it. Dukkam, suffering. Dukkam sampupanam, origin of suffering. Dukkasa cha anikaman, overcoming of suffering. Okay? Ariyam chattaginam magan, the noble eightfold path. Okay? And dukkhu pasagaminam, leading to the end of suffering. Okay? So the commentary said, this verse is essence of Buddha enlightenment. He said that until he fully understood the 4 noble truths, or the 4 truths in the 3 aspects and 12 modes, the fully understanding the truth, abandoning the cause, realizing the situation, developing the path, and he did not claim to be the fully awakened. You will study this in this one. The 3 aspects and 12 modes are in this coming Abhidhamma. This one will tell about the 12 links again. So it's more profound. So our Buddha used the therapeutic analogy. The Buddha often used as a medical analogy. Diagnosis, what is illness? Dukkha. Prognosis, what's the cause of illness? Samudaya. Prognosis of cure. Is a cure possible? Nirodha. And treatment, what's the cause of treatment? Magga. So basically, our Buddha is a doctor, prescribe the medication to you. The purpose of the entire path is fully realized in these 4 noble truths. They are to be understood, abandoned, realized, and developed respectively. This doctrine is considered a noble Arya because it's understood by the noble ones, those who attain any state of enlightenment, and leads ones to nobility. Okay, so this one, next one, verse 202. is another profound and widely quoted verse from Dhammapada. You find in this chapter 17, Koda Vaga. It presents a series of powerful comparisons to delight fundamental Buddhist teaching. So the verse is Nati Raga Samo Agi Nati Dosa Samo Kali Nati Kanda Sama Dukkha Nati Sati Param Sukham. Okay? And here's the English translation. There's no fire like lust, or what I call passion. There's no fault or evil like hatred, aversion. So there is no suffering like arrogates the mind, body, existence, and there's no bliss higher than the peace, nibbana. So basically translate like this, okay? There's no fire like lust. And we're talking about the greed or your passion, and there's no fault like evil, like hatred, aversion, and there's no suffering like arrogance. I mean, you're talking about your nama rupa, your body. There's no bliss higher than peace. So you compare all this, whether all this will bring you suffering or you want a total peace. So we look into line, which verse are they? Nati raga samo. There is no fire like lust. Raga is lust or passion or greed. This refers to craving, attachment to sensual pleasure. It's like fire because it consumes the one who harbors and burns incessantly, when no ending, burn until the end, and causes immense suffering. It's the first of the three poison, unwholesome root that fuel the cycle of rebirth, samsara. I mean, if you have this greed that were continuous without stopping, then nati dasamo kali, there's no fault like hatred. Another one is talking about the other factor, dosa, hatred or anger, aversion. This is the second of the three poison. And the word kali is rich in meaning. It can mean fault, sin, evil, or misfortune. Hatred is the greatest fault because this is a direct cause of conflict, violence, mental torment, destroying one's own virtue and peace of mind more quickly than anything else. So when you see these two of these, nati, dasa, and raga, last, hatred. Okay, so these two you see straight away, you know. And then nati kanda sama dukkha. There's no suffering like arrogates. Kanda, remember this word, you also know by now. It refers to the five aggregates of thinking, form, feeling, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. They are the components that make up what we conventionally call self or person. They are inherently unsatisfactory because they are impermanent, subject to change, and the very basis of all experience of suffering, the greatest, most fundamental suffering, is the very fact of conditioned existence built upon these aggregates. The next one is Nati Santi Param Sukham. There's no bliss higher than peace. Santi means peace. There's no ordinary peace, but the supreme peace of Nibbana, the cessation of all suffering, the cooling fire of greed, hatred, and delusion, is the highest param, or called happiness, and sukham, because it's unconditional, uncorrupted, and beyond the fleeting pleasure of senses as ultimate goal of the Buddhist path. So here, kanda. So when you see this following words, you should able to conceive what is this sentence about. So nati is not sama or sama equal or like. Aji fire, kali fault, kanda sama dukkha, aggregate suffering. Then santi param sukha, happiness higher than peace. Okay, when you see santi param, this is referring to Nibbana. So what is the commentary say about Dhammapada verse 202? The verse is a mastery summary of problem of the solution in Buddhism. The problem, the first three lines, it identified the internal cause of suffering, lust, greed, hatred, aversion, and the result. The suffering inherent condition existent, the five aggregates. Okay? And the solution, the fourth line, it points directly to the ultimate goal, the supreme peace of Nibbana, which is the highest form of happiness. The structure is deliberated, it moves away from sattvic defilement, raga dosa, to a general state of suffering they created, khandha sama dukkha, and finally to a state that finally to the only true escape from the entire system, santi. I mean, when you escape to Nibbana, that's the only way out. This verse is often recited for reflection and meditation, as often concisely remind the practitioner of the dangers of defilement and supreme value of the goal. Okay, verse 202. Next one, 216. Is found in chapter 24 on the Tanha Vaga, chapter on craving. It describes the entire cause of human suffering and the key to its end. Okay, so when you see Tanhaya, Jati Soko, Tanhaya, Jati Baniyam, Tanhaya, Vipamutasa, Nati Soko, Kuto Bayam. So Tanha, you by now should know is craving. From craving, grief is born, right? From craving, fear is born. From one who is entirely free from craving, there's no grief. How would there be fear? Okay, talking about when you crave, you grieve. When you crave, you fear. And one who is free from craving, there's no grief, no fear. Okay? Quite easy, right? If you come out this one, straightforward. So we look further into it. So word like tanha, craving, the root cause, by now you should know, tanha is a fundamental cause of suffering, as identified in the second noble truth, is insatiable thirst for sense pleasure, for existence, becoming, and for non-existent or self-annihilation. Soko, fear. Oh no, soko means grief or sorrow, and bayam means fear. So you see these two words, you should now, no fear, no sorrow. Grief, sorrow. Craving leads to a grief because it sets us for loss. We grieve when we cannot get what we crave, and we lose what we are attached to, and to what we are forced to be with what we dislike. It's craving for the situation likewise. So craving is a very wide aspect. Then from craving you have fear. Craving is a root for all fear. We fear not getting what we want. We fear losing what we will have. We fear change. We fear sickness. We fear old age and death because they are threatened object of our craving and attachment. Fear and anxiety are the constant companion of mind that is clinking. So our mind bogging because of these two things. When this word vipamutasa, one who fully enlightened, the solution is that vimuta means fully released or liberated or emancipated. It describes an arahant, one who has completely eradicated craving, ignorance, and is a state of achieving the third noble truth, cessation of suffering. Next one, nati soko kuto bayam. No grief, where is fear? The result of liberation. This finalizes a powerful declaration of freedom. When the root cause craving is pulled out, the result, grief and fear, simply cannot arise. This is a state of profound peace and fearlessness. The rhetorical question to Kuto Bayam, but where is fear? Emphasize the impossibility of fear for such a person. So, you all know, Tanha, craving, Jayati is born, Soko, grief, Bayam, fear, Vimapusa, one who is liberated, Nati, there's not Kuto, where? From where? So verse 1268, this verse is a perfect self-contained lesson on dependent origination, Paticca Samuppada in nutshell. With the cause, craving present. The effect is sorrow, fear are present. With cause, craving absent. The effects, there's no sorrow and fear are absent. So it moved logically from diagnosis to prognosis. It identified the disease, it described the symptoms, it declares the cure, and it describes the state of health. So this verse is often used for reflection, anipasana, to understand the direct link between our own mental state of desire and suffering experience. It encourages the practice of letting go to a direct path to peace. Okay, next one. This is also another famous one. Anupubena medahi tokam kane kan kamaro raja tasa eva nindame malamatano. It translates as gradually, the wise person, bit by bit, from moment to moment, a smith, just as of silver, remove the impurity of itself. Okay, this is a normal English translation, or imperative. Gradually, little by little, moment by moment, a wise person will remove their own impurities, as a silversmith remove the dross from the silver. I mean the dirt from the silver. Anupena, gradually, this one. Medavi, a wise or intelligent person. Okay, this is called wise person. Tokam, bit by bit, drop by drop. This word you can remember for your life. Tokam means bit by bit. Tokam. Kane, moment by moment, or moment to moment. Okay? Moment to bit by bit, moment to moment. Kamaro, a smith or goldsmith. Raja Seva, of silver. Okay? This one. Nidame, remove, cleanse or purges. Malam, impurity, not night, this one. Not Malay word malam. Impurity, stain, loss. The attain of oneself. Okay? So this one also quite easy to remember. If you all can remember all keywords like this, bit by bit. So what is the meaning of this? This verse is a powerful metaphor. It's a representation of the path of spiritual purification, self-improvement, the central of Buddha's teaching, the process. Anupebena tokam kane. The verse emphasizes that wisdom and purification cannot be achieved overnight. They are a result of gradual, continuous, and patient effort. It happens bit by bit in each every present moment, highlighting the importance of consistent mindfulness and practice in daily life. That's why we practice Buddhism. It's not overnight you can change. It's slow process of bit by bit. You see day by day, then you will see the change in yourself. The agent Madhavi, a wise person, is not someone who simply knows a lot, but someone who is pragmatic and skillful in working on their own mind. Pragmatic is a person that who practice it and realize himself. Okay, we by ownself when you go to an interview, they say how skillful are you or how experienced are you. Basically, we are not experienced in any of these traits. We are pragmatic person. We come here with zero knowledge or simply little knowledge, and then it's over experience. You commit it wrong, you don't repeat the same mistake again. That's called experience. And you don't repeat again, you become skillful every bit moment. So wisdom is shown here as a verb and action of diligent working on its oneself. So it's a practice day by day, bit by bit, until you keep on improving and don't commit the same mistake again. So this is called expedient. Okay. The metaphor, Kamaro Rajatas Eva. The comparison to a silversmith, purified silver is perfect. That means the silversmith is skilled, careful, and methodological. He doesn't use a sledgehammer, he applies precise heat and technique. That means you need a heat and a technique to remove all these dust away. So the impurities I remember your Malay word malam night means impurities are not part of the true pure metal. That means you're extracting the impurities out and then putting the right metal inside. They are adventurous arising from external condition and needing to remove to reveal the inherent lustrous nature beneath. So a smith know how to remove all the dust bit by bit, slow process. Similarly, a practitioner who works skillfully on impurities of mind, the greed, hatred, delusion, selfishness, to remove the mind, to reveal the mind innate purity and clarity. And the goal, Nirvane Malamato. The work is deeply personal. The impurity is atano, or your own self, and you are both the smith and the raw material. No one can do this work for you. The responsibility lies with the individual. Okay? So in this verse 239, the verse teaches that spiritual growth is a gradual process of self-purification. It requires the practice of skill of a craftsman working diligently, moment to moment, to remove the mental defilement that obscure one's true nature. It's called to persistent, mindful effort rather than seeking quick or magical solution. So Buddhism is of such nature. From moment to moment, day by day, then we hopefully will be fine in quick time. Well, next one, verse 240. Ayasava malam samutam tam tava veva kanati evam ati nona jarinam sani kamani nayanti duganti. Translated as, just as rust arises from iron, eats away the very iron from which it arose. I mean, dust, you don't take care of metal, especially iron, you will slowly, day by day, eat away everything. In the same way, his own deeds lead to the one to accept the evil conduct to a bad destination. I mean, you compare, just as the rust arises from the iron eats away the very iron from which it rose, in the same way, your own deeds or your action lead the one to accept the evil conduct to a bad destination. That means if you don't mind yourself doing all the evil things, then this evil thing will come and haunt you. So, periodic translation, as a dust formed upon the iron, eats and corrodes it very source, that means eat out the source, so the deeds of a sinful man lead himself to a state of woe. I mean, he will be degrading himself day by day. Ayasava means iron, malam, not night, impurity, samuhitam, horizon, originate, tam, deck, tata veva, tata means there from deck, or from that very place, or the very thing from which it rose. Kadati, it is and corroded. Evam, thus in this way. Adija ano nacharam, excessive or extreme. Santi kamani, those were very deeds. Nayanti, lead. Dukatim, in the state of suffering or bad rebirth. So verse 240 use a simple but powerful metaphor to explain. Metaphor means simile, to explain the inescapable law of karma, the principle that intention action have consequences for one who acts. So the metaphor for the first two lines, iron, represent individual, their life, their potential for happiness. Rust or malam represent the evil or unskillful action, akusala karma. The key point is that The rust arises from the iron itself and is not an external force. It signifies the immoral conduct that springs from the defilement, greed, hatred, delusion with one's own mind. Is every iron formed from where it rose? The consequence of action rust directly harms its source of iron, and the harm itself is self-inflicted and inherent to the action itself. I mean, if you do bad, it's like iron, rotting iron. Day by day, you rot the whole piece of iron. Application, the last two lines. The transgressor, the adi no nacharinam. This is not just someone who makes a mistake, but one who habitually, I mean every day doing it, recklessly, excessively engaged in evil conduct. I mean one who every day practice all the evil. His own deed lead him. This is the core teaching. The suffering that follow is not a punishment from external judge. It's not given by God or whoever. It's a nature inevitable result of the action, just as the rust naturally leads to corrosion of iron. This unwholesome deed contains the seed of its own negative result. Then to a bad destination, dugatim, I mean bad. This refers to inevitable negative consequence, evil action. So in Buddhist cosmology, this can mean rebirth in the lower suffering realm or in the four woeful state. On a psychological level, it means creating a future filled with suffering, regret, fear, and mind clouded by negative, even in this very life. Even those who do bad things, coming towards end of each day or towards the end of life, they regretted what they have been done in the past. So what is the summary for verse 240? The verse is a stark warning. Immoral conduct is self-destructive. Your own evil action, born from corruption, is your mind that inevitable rebound upon you and lead to the downfall. You are both the source of your own suffering and one who must experience its consequences. So this teaching emphasizes personal responsibility. It encourages one to be mindful of their action, and because these actions are primary architect of their future suffering or happiness.